Hi guys, welcome back to WePlaySG, and today we have another game talk through, and this is Liberation by John Simentoffs. So yeah, this is again sort of a video in a series of button shy games. So if you've not watched the first video, I'll link it down below so you can watch the intro and then come back. Yeah, basically I just talk about how I got this game and how I think about these games in general. So yeah, this video we are going to talk about Liberations. So this is the rulebook for each of the players. So again, this is a 2-player game, and we have this. So again, very small package, that's why I like. And this is the rulebook. So yeah, once again, this is a 2-player game, and it's a hidden movement game. So or rather, like you're trying to outguess or you're trying to guess your opponent's hidden base. Yeah, so one person will do the guessing and the other person will actually do the sort of running away and trying to outlast the whole round. So for setup, you just have to shuffle these cards. You can flip them anyway, but because they have alphabets, so I don't really do it too crazily, but I'll still try to have everything facing the right way. Yeah, so this will be the map that you are playing with. Yeah. So you can see, so these cards, so these places are adjacent to each other based on the connecting lines, but this and these two, they are not adjacent to each other because of, yeah, as in it's not like looping through. So yeah, and so for the setup, very simple. Lay down the map, shuffle these cards, so we can give each player 3 cards to start off, and then 1 card for the discard, and then the other for the draw deck. So you can see that there's 1, 2, and 3 here. So this is for the act number. So in this game, you'll play over 3 acts, and if one opponent can find out the other opponent's base before 3 acts is done, then that opponent wins. Otherwise, the other person will win the game. So basically, you are playing as Liberation and Dynasty. So Liberation, you're trying to you're basically the one that with the secret base, and Dynasty, you're the one that's trying to attack and find the base. So yeah, in this game, so you are the Liberation. Your setup is to choose a hidden base from this stack hand of cards. So let's say I choose I to be my hidden base. So I just put it face down like this, and then the Dynasty would then choose 1 card to start off with, or 1 city, so they put it face up like this. 2 sides will actually do different things. So this is the Dynasty side and this is the Liberation side. So Liberation is a bit more sorry, for the Dynasty is a bit more straightforward. No, actually the Liberation is more straightforward. So let's start off with that, and I can't really remember what they do. Yeah, so basically for the Liberation, your first step is to draw the card. So but your aim is to actually try to reduce the deck as much as possible. So usually it's a good idea to just draw a card. So but you can choose not to draw, and second, you can take one of 3 actions. The first one will be to evade, so that is to return this card to your hand and then put 1 card that is the same or adjacent to that card. Yeah, so if I have an I here, I can actually put down H, but in the case that I don't have H, I cannot put down anything else. I can only put back this card down like this. So that's 1 action, then that's it. Then you will discard down to 3 cards and end your turn. Yeah. But the other 2 actions that you can take is to sabotage, which is to name a city that is either adjacent to one of your cards here in your hand, or the one that is adjacent to your base. And if the Dynasty actually has that card in their hand, then they have to discard it. Yeah. So in the sense that I don't have anything that's adjacent, but let's say I have H, and then I'm adjacent to D, like D is adjacent to H, so I can actually choose D, and if I have D, if the Dynasty have D in his hand, then they will have to discard the D card. Yeah. So for the last card, you can play a card from your hand, and then you can use the mission over here. So you have to pay the cost if there's any. In this case, there's no cost, so the costs are these symbols here. So yeah, this is, you can choose a city and up to 2 cities adjacent to it, and for each chosen city, you can either sabotage or exploit it. So the sabotage is just to like remove remove the card from your opponent's hand. Yeah. So that's roughly how it goes, and that's for the liberation. So for the dynasty, it's a bit more complicated in a sense. So basically in your turn, you can actually choose to either draw a card or exploit exploited city. So exploited city is the city that is like 90 degrees, like this. Yeah, so if you start a game with this, you can either choose to draw a card or to exploit this so that you can use it later on. Yeah. So again, you don't want to be drawing too much because you'll be helping your opponent to end the game faster. But yeah, after that, that's step 1. Then you can choose to take one action, same as the liberation. So for 1, you can actually unexploit a city. So that's the same as the first step. And second action, you can actually choose to do its mission. So you can only choose to do the one at the bottom. Likewise, the liberation can only do the ones at the top. So for the dynasty, there's usually a cost. For this cost is to actually exploit. So the one with the arrow is to exploit. The one with the X is to discard a card in your hand. So yeah, you have to pay the cost and then do the actions. So next is to exploit a city. So let's say if you're here, you can exploit this city to do 3 things. Yeah. So first you can choose to occupy, which you have to occupy a card that is adjacent to this. So this is K. So you can actually occupy J, N, and M. That is if you have them in your hand. Yeah. So that's one of the actions. And next you can attack. So you can either name a city that's adjacent to this city, and then if the liberation has that city in his hand, you have to either discard it, or if it's in the base, then you actually win the game. Yeah. So the last one is that you can exploit this card to do its mission here, but then you still have to pay the cost. Yeah. So last step will be to discard down to 3 cards. So yeah, this is the gist of the game. Yeah. So every time the deck runs out and you have to draw another card, you actually shuffle the discard back into the draw pile. So cards are always discarded face down so that you don't know. Yeah. So basically that's the whole idea of the game. So you're going back and forth. So the dynasty will be trying to expand the cities that they occupy, and the liberation will be trying to reduce the draw pile as much as possible. Yeah, so actually it's not a lot, and there's also a card that can let you discard down half of the attack, so that's pretty good. So yeah, I think it's actually more difficult, but if you think about it, it's difficult in a sense for the dynasty to actually guess where they are in that one card, and but it's difficult for the liberation to actually last like 3 rounds, based on this number of cards here. Yeah, this is my first hidden movement. I'm not sure if Revolver Noah is counted, but yeah, otherwise this is my second. Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting, like how this one card is so difficult to guess, considering you have like there's actually not too many cards here, and each time you draw a card is a clue to tell you like what this card is and what this card isn't. So for example, if you draw like I forgot what I put down, I think it's I, but yeah, if you draw like D, then you know like this card is not a D, and if the opponent to play like a H, then you know that the base is not a H. And there's other like telltales, like sometimes when they have to name a adjacent city, so you can from there roughly know like the areas they are in or whether they are not in. Yeah. And so I think that's all pretty cool, but I think I might enjoy this better in a full-fledged game, because I feel there's too little things that I can do, and the requirements here are usually pretty difficult. And like for the for the dynasty, right? Here, let's say you have a few occupied cities, maybe if you have to exploit them to do something big or just to do any action, like this is to like put back 3 cards from the discard to the deck to the draw pile. You actually have to exploit 2 cities and discard a card. So the cost is pretty high. And for example, you have like this, you have like 3 cities here, and then you kind of like exploit these two, and then to do like this action, so maybe have these 2 cards, so you have to use this for the mission and use this for the discard, so you are left with nothing and 2 exploited cities. So in your next turn is either you spend one entire turn trying to unexploit your city, and then this will actually give your opponent more chance to do more harm to the flow of the game. So yeah, I think in this sense it's pretty tight, but it's also good for the liberation, because they really have to last through the entire turn, the entire deck 3 times, so that's not easy as well. But yeah, so I played I think 2 games. One of it I lost, and the other one I won at the last minute, like the last card is gone. So, and that's the end of the 3rd round, so the 3rd act, so I have to guess no matter what, otherwise I will lose the game, and I happen to guess correctly. So I think yeah, that's a bit of luck there. Yeah, but yeah, so but in the game I actually have to like kind of deduce a lot, like based on the letters that my opponent is saying. Maybe it could be here, maybe it could be there, so I have to also use my attacks to kind of eliminate the different areas that the person is in. Yeah, but I think the bad thing is that the moment they are able to switch base, then it becomes like a whole new different game, or rather a whole new game, because then the things that you deduce about is basically pretty much useless. Yeah, so yeah, this is this game, and I think it's interesting. But I've bought another game. It's called Mind Management. It's already out now, but I got the Kickstarter one, so that hasn't arrived. But I think that might be an interesting game, because of the deductions needed. So for the reboxing, it's very simple, not too much to it. Just split 8 cards each. Yeah, the reason I split 8 cards is because the pocket is not too big over here, so if I have to put more cards than necessary, then on either side, then like this would be fine, but the other side would be like struggling. Yeah, so that's why I do the map cards on one side and these cards here on the other side. So, and then followed by your rule books. So yeah, but I think really the most interesting thing about this game is that it's so small, it's so little components, but then there's still quite a big game within this small components. So yeah, so once again, this is Liberation. If you like what you've seen here, do give this video a thumbs up and do consider subscribing. And yeah, so once again, thanks for watching and see you guys next time. Bye bye.